We are live.
I now call the Estimates Committee to order. Has the roll been taken?
Through the chair, roll has been taken.
Members of the committee, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest on items appearing on today's agenda? Councillor Hunt?
4.2.5, Brantford Police Services. My conflict is my daughter is employed by DPS.
Thank you. Councillor Caputo?
Same 4.2.5 Brantford Police. My son's on the auxiliary.
Any other conflicts? Not seeing any. All right, presentations and delegations. We have one delegation on tonight's agenda. Before hearing the delegations, I would like to remind the meeting today follows the following rules of decorum set forth by the city's procedural bylaw. No person shall display any sign, banner, or placard in the meeting room other than materials that, in the opinion of the chair, are legitimate audio-visual aids necessary in connection with any presentations to be made before council. All persons present must use polite and respectful language and shall refrain from the use of any language or the making of any gesture that is considered disrespectful or offensive. All persons addressing council shall only speak on the subject in debate and shall not speak on any other subject. And no person shall applaud participants in debate or engage in conversation or behavior that may disrupt the proceedings of this meeting. So I would like to call Rita Marie Hadley and Scott Lyons regarding the Lansdowne 3.1.1. You have 10 minutes inclusive of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are here, Scott Lyons and Rita Marie Hadley, to speak to item number 4.1, as you know. Thank you very much as well for the positive comments and response we received from our presentation a couple of weeks ago at Committee of the Whole. I'm sure that presentation is still top of mind, so we're not here to repeat that. I don't envy some of the decisions that will be made tonight as far as the estimates go. You'll notice in the report that staff has the Lansdowne request outside of the tax levy, so hopefully that makes it a little bit easier. Really, we're here to speak, pardon me, to how critical it is in a project like this for the province to see the local and municipal support. So I'd like to thank you again for the MOU we had for the Mohawk Lake District lands, that gift of property going back a few years. I have no doubt that is really something that helped us get on a little bit more of a priority list with the province for our new build. When that situation became no longer feasible, we got to negotiating a purchase of land, as you know, and the momentum from that MOU with a corresponding visit from the minister is really what brought us to where we are today. So the province gets this momentum going, and they really like that. They really want to try and keep that going. So we can't stall this now. As you will recall from our presentation, it's about a 1-to-1 ratio of kids on the wait list to kids that we are serving. So we're here to just impress upon you the criticality of this ask and the momentum that we have going right now with the province. We've been to the County of Brant as another municipality that we're serving, very well received there. They are in the same sort of position that that you are. We've got a local fundraising campaign getting organized, which I will chair, and that will ramp up in the new year as well. So as you know, our ask is $2 million over multiple years. Where we initially had been considering a $1 million ask and a waiver of the development charges, which would be in the area of another $1 million we expect. Staff suggested we just come for the $2 million asks, but I'll just lay it out there that there'll be a very quick return on that, as we will be paying the development charges back to the city, which will be in the area of about $1 million. So I'll just leave that with you. We are happy to take any questions if there's anything that requires any clarity for your decisions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Carpenter.
Thanks for coming, Scott. Thanks for everything that you do, and Rita as well. Could you remind us, how much did the province provide in funding?
The funding agreement has not been finalized. We are
still working through that. The province has committed, they're building a new Lansdowne, and the agreement is that the community supports a relative proportion that tends to be around 10%, and with responsibilities for at least the furniture, the fixtures, and the equipment.
So when you say 10%, the 2 million that we're talking about, that equates at least to 20 million for the province.
Oh, well, over that.
Yeah.
We're looking at the approximate size of 100,000 square feet. We're looking at likely around $100 million or more.
Yeah, but at least our 2 million equates to 20 million if we use the 10% ratio.
Right, we're looking to raise $12 million locally, and this would be part of that.
And the province will be paying the rest. Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Sluss.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome both. It's good to hear the county is participating financially, which is good. But I believe you also service the Haldimand Norfolk Simcoe region. Have they been approached as well?
Haldimand and Norfolk communities will be expecting to continue to be served in their local communities. With the absence of a public transit system, there are transportation barriers. It's not expected that there'll be appreciable travel here from those communities other than for some specialized services. So we will need to retain our teams and locations in Haldimand and Norfolk. So no, they have not.
Okay, that's good, because I think you started by saying local participation is paramount to the province.
Mhm.
And the more that we can bring on board locally, I think would be really good. So good luck with that. Thank you.
Councillor McCreary.
Chair, thank you. Welcome again, folks. I wonder if you could provide us with perhaps an overview of what your timeline would be in terms of securing the rest of your funding and the day you would expect to be in the ground and then open for business.
We are hoping to, high level picture, we're hoping to break ground in 2027. There are a lot of hurdles that have to obviously be done before that. We hope to have that defined a little more closely by the first quarter next year. And so just so that we're not delaying things as we go, there's why we are going forward with our local campaign, getting ramped up for that. We've set this target of the $12 million, recognizing it may be even a little bit high on the ratio that the province asks us to spend. So the provinces, they have their things that want to go in order. They want to see, obviously, that we have got the property now that is owned by us. We've got our planning application in place. We have got the zoning approval process, all that going on. So they want to see some stuff happen locally and then next step provincially and back. So it's kind of intertwined there. But the short answer to your question is that we would hope for 2027 to be breaking ground.
Now, do you know whether or not there's access to any federal government funds for your project?
We've been looking to see what opportunities there are for coordination, and the best we heard was waiting for the federal budget approval and then looking to see how it will pan out. There isn't a current program on the dockets from our provincial funders awareness, but we were looking to see what was new, and certainly we'll be working with our MPs around what opportunities there are.
Now, would you venture a guess that your opening day will precede that of our new hospital?
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
All right, not seeing anyone else. We'll be dealing with this item shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We now have 2 items on tonight's agenda. Can I please have a mover and seconder to place both items on the floor? Moved by Councillor Caputo, seconded by Councillor Samwell. So move on to 4.1. Any discussion? Not seeing any. We can call the vote.
Item 4.1 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Those in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillors Sullivan, Celeste, McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Sicoli, Caputo, Martin, Hunt, and Samwell.
Now moving on to item 4.2, the year 3 budget confirmation, local boards. Any discussion? Not seeing any. Oh, Council Martin.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do separations, but I have questions for for 1, 2, 3, and 4 on this. So, starting with the BIA, what I'd like to know is, did the membership have a vote on the budget that they're presenting? Someone
Mr.
to-
Chair, I have a point of order, if I may, not to interrupt Councilor Martin. Are we receiving presentations from these folks tonight?
Yes, there will be presentations.
Are we going to be calling them to the microphone individually?
As we get to 4.2.1, yes.
Well, that's where we are, isn't it?
I would now ask Barbara Sutherland, Chair of the Downtown BIA, please come forward to speak to the year 3 budget confirmation of local boards. Please note you have 10 minutes to present.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us to present our budget. Do I just, oh, there, it's already there. Okay, so the Downtown Brantford BIA Board of Management, I'm going to answer Councillor Martin's question right now, if I may. The BIA Board of Management is elected by the total membership of the downtown. And in electing the Board of Management, they entrust us with creating the budget and passing the budget. And so the budget's already done, but we do present it to the management. They do have, or to the membership, and they do have time to comment on it. But we simplify it by not having 250 different businesses and building owners comment on the budget. Did that answer your question? All right, thank you. All right, so in the 2026 budget, we're building on the momentum of our 2025 activations and events, and we're proposing a 2026 budget that sustains and expands key community initiatives. Our focus will be to strengthen existing and proven activations, to establish continuity for new and promising events launched in 2025. And we're particularly proud of the Garage Urban Night Market. And we have an upcoming this Saturday of Santa's Great Gift Exchange. We'll just briefly tell you that we have about 150 gifts that will be given to 150 of the first kids who sit on Santa's knee. So we're really proud to do that. And that's all on behalf of the downtown. Introducing the Diggin' Downtown activation to further enhance engagement, attract visitors, and support downtown businesses during our several years of construction. And we don't want it to make it a dismal experience. We want it to make sort of a fun experience by bringing in toys and excavators for kids, and put up some fun signage while the excavation is going on, and do our best to help out the city and getting through the process of construction. Already did that. Okay, so our proposed 2026 initiatives include the Brantford Bulldogs Valentine's Game Experience, which was the fun game, including a lot of people, and we're going to do that again this year or next year. Catch a Ducky in Harmony Square may expand to something a little more exciting, but we're not ready to reveal that right at the moment. Garage Urban Night Market, this will be the second annual, which is very exciting and very, very successful. Santa's Great Gift Exchange, I just explained that, that's coming this Saturday. The Bulldogs Game Experience giveaway. So we do have prizes and flowers and whatever that we do at the Bulldogs game that we are sponsoring that night. Diggin' Downtown again. Banners and Beautification, Clean and Safe Project. Special projects with Laurier and Conestoga, because we do give student awards every year. Downtown Central Neighborhood Association contribution, because they're a very important part of our neighborhood and we're an important part of theirs. Membership networking events, support the Business Downtown Priority Plan, and support business retention. We look towards growth and investment in the downtown Brantford BIA. As these activations grow, they require increased time, planning, and resources to expand development and manage. We increase budget allocation. Scaling events requires higher financial commitment to deliver safe, high-quality experiences. Shared sponsorship dollars, as our events grow, we will be looking at some opportunities with local businesses to open up more sponsorship to our events. And so we're not relying on our membership to support all of our events. Participation fees. Select events may incorporate participation fees to offset the cost and reinvest in our future programming. Now we come to our numbers. And I'll just go through these quickly with you. Increase our 2025 budget was $359,766. Our 2026 budget is $384,431. The variance is $24,665, and that's just a percentage of 6.8% increase. Our budget drivers are the increase in marketing and consultant. In our marketing, we feel that we need to increase that again because of the construction that's coming and to keep driving visitors into the downtown. Decrease in supplementary and deficiencies revenue, that's by $10,000. We are decreasing that because we put money aside every year in order to cover whatever loss we may have in businesses and loss in revenue and levy, and then having to pay that levy back sometime during the year. And it caught us off guard a few times. And so we do have a bit of a fund there now to cover that if we are expecting any losses in business. Increase in employee compensation, that's just to keep up with inflationary and cost of living. Increase in beautification projects. We feel this might be necessary in the areas that aren't under construction to beautify the areas that are still standing and people will populate. Decrease in equipment and furniture expenses. We don't foresee any expenses there. Decrease in meeting expenses. We don't see any expenses there that are increasing. In fact, we'll be okay if we have any. Contractual and inflationary increases, and you never know what's going to come. So we put a little bit aside for that. Increase in audit costs. We have no control over that. We are under the city's auditor. So when those costs go up, our costs go up as well. And increase in conference and workshops. Some things came along last year that we didn't know about it in October, November the previous year. So we put a little aside for that as well. And again, our total in those were, our variances are $24,665. And that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you for your presentation. Councilor Carpenter.
Yes, a large increase in is it consulting fees, marketing fees?
Just in marketing, only because we're putting a lot of emphasis on marketing in 2026. And the marketing will be events. And
So
so,
For events, but that's an increase. Do you have some money in the budget generally for marketing already as well?
for consulting?
Yeah.
Yes, we have all day breakfast that we've retained for the last 4 or 5 years. And they've been very, they understand us. They now understand the BIA and work very, very well with us. They've become such a great, strong partner, and we'd like to continue with them.
Okay, and one more is that you're making a contribution to the neighbor association. How much is that contribution?
I don't know at the moment, but we can get that to you, Kurt.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor McCurry.
Could you read the bottom line that says levy applied to participating members, no impact on the general tax levy? Just so we can hear it twice.
That's true. All right. Thank you very much for that reminder. The BIA budget is 100% supported by the businesses in the downtown BIA area and does not impact the city budget.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Not seeing anybody else. Okay. Moving on to 4.2.2. I'd like to ask Sarah Page, CEO of Grand Erie Public Health, Brad Stark, Director of Finance, and Dr. Jason Maliphant, Medical Health Officer, to please come forward to speak to the 3-year budget confirmation for local boards. You have 10 minutes to present.
Thank you very much. Just a few notes here before we get into the budget. Just wanted to bring up the fact that, of course, 2025 for us has been a year full of change and challenges. We made the merger official on January 1st, 2025, and that's merging, of course, the city of Brantford, the counties of Brant, Haldimand, and Norfolk. This merged organization is autonomous from municipalities, but of course, all payer municipalities. We have experienced leadership changes throughout the year. So we have a new medical officer of health beside me on my right and a new CEO. We also experienced some very highly stressful and interesting incidents this year. So from the measles outbreak, a rabies exposure incident, emergency exercises with our municipalities, and the new Ontario Public Health standards have been drafted, and we've received those in draft to guide our path forward. We also have a facilities master plan underway and a new strategic plan underway. So looking back over this year, it has been a year of change for us. We've merged the entire corporation. So our IT, finance, HR, and communications are all under one organization now. We've provided change management training and a leadership charter and competencies with our whole leadership team. We've engaged the staff through multiple surveys and town halls. And we've provided board orientation and created governance and finance and audit committees as part of the board. We have a fulsome project and program harmonization plan to bring our teams together. And we're working on financial budget finalization, both operations and merger for multi-year. And we also, as you can see from the slides, have newly branded our organization to look forward.
So looking ahead now forward, we are, as Sarah just mentioned, we did just launch our new brand and logo week before last. We do now have our new website as well that's going to be coming out within the next few weeks here, which we're very excited about. We also still have program harmonization and team integration happening. So we have a very stepwise approach to harmonizing the programs of the former legacy units into one unified program, which we are currently undergoing. Also looking ahead, we are doing Ministry of Health advocacy with continued supported funding, working to increase community partner collaboration. Also working to enhance our information sharing modalities with municipal partners via in-person meetings and emails. And we're also now going to be moving to multiple year forecasting of the budgets to better grasp overall budget needs, which was something that we did learn through the merger process. This is just an overview of the programs that we oversee, so I won't go through all of it, but just gives you a sense of the sort of wide variety of programs and services that we oversee, which are, largely influenced and dictated by the Ontario Public Health Standards.
We are currently in year 2 of merger funding, with year 3 beginning April of 2026. The budget for year 2 includes costs for additional staffing, mostly in the areas of corporate services, human resources, IT, and communications, as well as merger implementation staff resources. Merger funding in year 2 was also provided for rebranding costs, strategic planning, program harmonization work, change management training, IT software and hardware enhancements, governance training, and the initial stages of capital planning. According to the Ministry of Health, the development of the year 3 budget will begin in January of 2026. We were here in December 2024 presenting a standalone budget and 2025 to 2027 projections for the Brant County Health Unit. This slide is a copy of what was presented last year and shows significant increases for 2025, 2026, and 2027, not due to significant expense increases, but rather minimal increases in Ministry of Health funding. The merger was approved very shortly after we presented in 2024, and as a result, a consolidated Grand Erie Public Health budget was approved by the Board of Health in April of 2025 that reduced the initial ask of 14.75% to 3.36% and reduced the proposed increases for 2026 and 2027 from 17.9 and 12.5 to 4.49 and 4.51 respectively. The 2026 budgeted increases are as a result of the changes to revenues and expenses demonstrated in this table. The 2026 budget estimates a decrease in revenues for 2026, as our 2025 budget included the usage of deferred revenues, and in 2026 we expect a reduction in user fee revenues due to a change in practice for health inspections, and this is offset by the continued 1% increase in administrative health funding. Expenses are slated to increase by less than 1% in the 2026 budget. Wages and benefits are going to increase due to collective agreements and our individual step increases for staff, as well as benefit costs increasing, as is occurring in many sectors. This is offset by adjustments to the budget for benefits in comparison to 2025, where Grand Erie Public Health pays a lower WSIB rate than what was previously budgeted by the Haldimand Norfolk Health Unit, and lower rates for our insured employee benefits. This slide demonstrates the cost share between the participating municipalities. Previously, Haldimand Norfolk used MPAC households count, where Brantford and Brant use and will continue to use MPAC population count. This results in a shift between Haldimand and Norfolk due to those different metrics, but no change for Brantford and Brant, but for changes to population year over year. The inclusion of Haldimand Norfolk does not result in Brantford being responsible for a larger portion of the municipal health unit contribution, as the per capita rates of contributions are equal for each municipality. This slide demonstrates the side-by-side comparison of projected municipal increases year over year with and without the merger. You will note significant cost savings for 2025 to 2027. It should be noted that 2028, the first year not shown on this slide, is the first year without the benefit of merger funding and merger financial support. Between now and that time, Grand Erie Public Health, along with other newly merged health units, are advocating to the Ministry of Health for sustained funding increases to address some of the financial challenges of merging, such as wage and benefit harmonization across the two health units. Additionally, Grand Erie Public Health has work to do to find some cost efficiencies, which will be challenging, but less challenging as a merged, larger health unit than previously as a smaller standalone organization. We also may see changes to the financial model upon the implementation of changes to the Ontario Public Health Standards and Public Health Ontario's funding review, which is expected to conclude at the end of 2027 or beginning of 2028.
Thank you for your presentation. Councillor McCreary.
Chair, thank you. Welcome, folks. Good to see you. So your total global budget for 2026 is how much?
Through the chair, the cost share budget, which is programs that are shared between the municipality and the province, is 24.2 million. And then we have a number of programs that are 100% funded by the Ministry of Health or other sources, Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services, which off the top of my head is probably another $2 to $3 million.
Thank you. And there were a number of fairly significant expenses during the period surrounding the merger. There were some severances that were paid. Is that in the 25 budget or the 26 budget?
Through the chair, those figures wouldn't be included in anything we're presenting today because it is covered by the merger funding, and the merger funding is separate and standalone from our operational budget, which is what you see. So it is covered by the province.
So the province pays that amount?
Correct.
Okay. There were year-end bonuses paid out. Is that in this budget or last year's budget?
Also merger.
Interesting. Okay. And we acquired something of a small fleet around the time of the merger. Do you recollect what the total capital investment was?
Yes, we had, through the chair, we had in our merger budget, $210,000 available for the purchase of vehicles. Total cost, including extended warranties, came to 219. But that budget wasn't held to a line by line standard. So the 9,000 overrun just came off of another merger related expenditure. So no cost, all borne by the province.
It's a good thing we got the province to pay. And the operating costs for the vehicles, for the coming year, do you know roughly what that would be, Brad?
Through the chair, we're still working through the usage of those. So there would be gas, maintenance, insurance. I expect it to be pretty nominal. I would think less than $12,000 annually.
And there was no opportunity to send them back, was it? So the province funding for merger winds up in 28. Is 28 the first year we don't have that money?
Through the chair, it technically ends March 31st of 2027.
Okay, so and it's 1% province increase again this year, right? So provided that the province does not provide us with any additional funding, as of the end of that fiscal year, how much of that merger budget would end up on municipalities' plates?
Through the chair, we are working through the costs that we are incurring related to merger. And our hope is at the end of the merger funding period that there be nothing additional that would be the responsibility of the municipality.
Would you care to put that in writing? Thanks for your presentation, folks, and your good work.
Councillor Sless.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you probably answered my questions during answering those questions, but it was the merger funding. At the time, I think it was indicated, I was on the board at the time, and it was indicated by the province that any costs associated with the merger would be borne by the province. Did that come to fruition, or did they start carving things out?
Through the chair, to date, everything we have asked for in a merger budget has been funded.
Okay, so we're not out of pocket then because of the merger. And then the other was it was going to strengthen our ability to service, and it was going to do all these wonderful things to have a merger, and it was going to be more cost effective. At the end of the day, when the tap shuts off 28, are we financially better off than we were prior to the merger? Each entity.
Through the chair, we are through the process of merging, bringing up the municipal contribution to be equal across all participating municipalities. So Brantford and Brant per capita contributed a higher amount than Haldimand and Norfolk, and we are going to equalize that. So that hopefully gives us an opportunity to strengthen public health by increasing services, or at the very least, not increase the overall municipal contribution when the merger funding runs out. But again, there is work to do with that because there are things that the merger is funding that will be a cost when the merger funding runs out. So we need to either make some decisions or find additional funding sources to compensate for that.
I'm not sure exactly what you said. When this money runs out, then the contribution from the County of Brant and the City of Brantford will be reduced, and it will be increased to the other two communities. Is that what I heard?
No, Brantford and Brant will be maintained or slightly increased by nominal percentages each year, and Haldimand and Norfolk will come up to that level.
Okay, is that gap large?
Because of the change in metric that they are using, for Norfolk, it's not significant. For Haldimand, there is a little bit of work to do. Dollar-wise, it's not significant, but percentage-wise, at the end of 2027, it's close to a double-digit percentage increase to catch up.
Okay, and just finally, more of a general question. Servicing such a large geographical area with one board, is that cumbersome?
Through the chair to council, the board itself is made up of representatives from all over the region. So we feel that that's a great representation and allows all the voices of all the communities to be heard.
Okay, maybe I asked the question wrong from a logistical point of view. You're trying to service outlying areas from a central area, and that outlying area got much larger. Is that still working?
Thank you for the clarification. Yes. So we're looking at like a hub and spoke model. We're working through our facilities master plan right now, but it will be where there is a central hub for services, likely the office in Brantford, and then multiple service areas throughout our communities to provide service to the citizens.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you still operate the needle giveaway program?
Through the chair, yes, we do.
Okay. Every year I ask for proof that the province mandates that, and I haven't been provided that yet. Is that something that you still stand by, that the province mandates that?
Through the chair, can't answer certainly whether the province mandates. I will say that the new draft of the standards, we are waiting on that. That will be effective January 2nd, 2026. We are still waiting for that draft, and that may impact our practice from there, but we're still waiting for that draft.
Okay. And if not mandated, is that something that you'll stop doing?
Through the chair, through the chair, that's a larger discussion that we would have at our board meeting.
Okay, because in discussions with the MPP, he said that it wasn't mandated by the province, and that was over a year ago. And you call it a needle exchange when it's a needle giveaway. You call it harm reduction when it's really harm transfer, because it transfers the harm to innocent kids playing in a park where they come up with a needle in their hand, making a snowball. So I hope you would really take a serious look at ending that program, because it is a serious problem for our community with needles in parks and alleyways where they're just discarded because you give out so many free ones.
Is this a question?
So not anymore. Thank you.
Councillor Van Tilburg.
Okay, so we're an amalgamated public health board now covering a number of municipalities. And so what's before us is strictly Brantford, the municipal Brantford's portion of what's being paid. Taxes.
Through the chair, it's our organizational budget, and then the slides detail Brantford's portion of that.
So the 6.94.
So for 2026, the city of Brantford contribution would be 3.429 million.
And in a percentage, that's the 6.94% increase.
Over 2025, that's a 4.49% increase.
We're not looking at the 2026 operating budget that's projected to put 6.94. Or in another way, what's the 6.94% that I'm looking at that says total budget increase?
Through the chair, I'm just going to clarify. So Councillor Van Tilburg, you're looking at the staff report. So for the increase of the 6.94, council may recall last year that previously the Brantford County Health Unit did bring forward their board approved budget, but the final budget adopted by the city reduced the budget. The approved budget for public health within the city's budget was lower than what was adjusted to be lower than what the board actually approved last year. So we do need to make up that $75,000 differential and get to the requested 2026 budget. So just from the city of Brantford, it's not impacting anything at those other municipalities. City of Brantford, we have to absorb a 6.94 increase to get to what the requested 2026 public health budget is.
Thank you for that, because I was actually trying to compare apples to apples and was wondering why, with all these changes, that it shouldn't be lower than the previous year, because technically it should be. But I'm looking now and I'm seeing that if I'm going by the old year, you're saying we were too low.
Right. I believe the budget last year for 2025 that was requested for public health let's just say it was 3.6%. I can't remember exactly the number. Council, the city budget for 2025 only provided for a 1% increase. So we have to catch up this year.
Okay, so we have made that change and that's in that 6.94% figure. We've done that.
That's correct.
Thank you.
All right, Council Carpenter.
Similar question, and also most clarified quite a bit. So the actual increase is, if we'd given you the increase that you wanted before, which we didn't do, you would have a 4.5% increase this year. And if you hadn't amalgamated, I thought I saw in your report would have been 14, 15, 17 or something like that.
Correct. For 2026, we were projecting 17.9.
So without the merger, it would have been 17.9, and it's actual 4.5 plus the percentage increase that we didn't give you last time that we probably should have given you. Okay.
Correct.
All right, that helps. Thank you.
Councilor Scully.
Yes, thank you. Regarding the merger funding, at the board level, we've passed recently a resolution in an exercise of fiscal responsibility moving forwards. And I believe the term was, so we're not just a herd of buffalo, charging towards a cliff in 2028. So we did pass a few things just to get the ball rolling in the right direction, so that there's no surprises for us in 2028. A copy of this resolution was shared with all of councils and all the municipalities and was probably in our clerk's communication report. Can you expand on some of the things that we're doing to get the ball rolling?
Thank you for the question through the chair to council. There are several different initiatives we're using. So first of all, the motion that came forward was to find $500,000 in savings. And so we're looking at different avenues for that. In addition, we're looking at multi-year budgets. So forecasting out several years in advance to ensure that we don't have what was termed the cliff of 2027, 2028. And so looking at different avenues of how we can find efficiencies in things like software programming or IT costs, communications, things like that across the corporation without cutting any service directly to the communities we serve.
Correct. We also put a pause on implementing anything new, if you wanted to expand on that at all.
My apologies. Yes, the third part of that motion was pausing any new initiatives or any new hiring at this point that would expand our workforce, just in order to assess our teams as they go through harmonization and where we can build capacity across the organization.
Great. Thank you so much.
I'm going to chime in as a first time here. So just for clarification purposes, yous asked for some significant double-digit asks from the province and got some pretty significant low single digits. The shortfall now is falling on the taxpayer, municipal taxpayer, correct?
Through the chair, sorry, to the chair. The province, public health is a funding responsibility of the municipality, and the Ministry of Health provides a grant every single year. And what they have committed to in that grant is a 1% increase over a 3-year period, with the municipality picking up the difference. So when a province who funds is supposed to fund 75%, gives you a 1% increase, it leads to exponential increases to the municipality. So for 2027, 2026 and 2027, they have guaranteed us a 1% increase in their funding.
No, what I'm referring to is you have to, when you give us the presentation, you had the 1 year at 14%, 17% ask, and you got back 3 and 4s. Where is the remainder of the funds that was required coming from the municipal taxpayer?
It's actually a reduction. So we were going to ask the municipality for 14%. Instead, we're asking for 4%. And that's a result of the merger funding allowing us to offset some of those costs that we would have passed on to the municipality.
Okay, thank you. Councilor McCreary.
Well, Chair, thank you very much. I do have a couple of questions. So during the merger process, there were a number of new staff that were taken on. Do you recollect the number of folks that we took on?
Through the chair to council, it was roughly 12 to 14 staff. A lot in the corporate services, as no corporate service staff came from Haldeman Norfolk, as that was within the
All
municipality.
covered by the province
Correct.
until,
2027.
and then,
That's some of the efficiencies that we need to find, is figuring out what positions are needed to be permanent funding and which ones we'll be able to eliminate.
okay. And if I recollect, there was some discussion about creating spaces in many of the rural communities where we can provide service to those communities. Have you settled on the number of communities that are going to be receiving service from a locality?
Through the chair, we have not at this point. We have started a facility study, and they are looking at multiple different options from, like you said, providing services at things like libraries, community centers, available spaces in the community which are accessible to our clients. And once that is finished, we would present that to the board for the options of how to provide service across all the communities.
So you'd be considering providing service in Delhi, Simcoe, Burford, St. George, Paris. Sorry, I don't know the names of any of the communities in Haldeman, but there'd be a number there as well.
We're hoping so. We are also looking at different mobile service options and whether that's something feasibly that we could do. We have done partnerships with the community paramedics in the past, and so also a venture that we're looking at to provide services better for the community.
But that won't involve buying, building, or leasing space, correct?
Correct. These would be incidental, either rentals or in community buildings that are no charge for us to go out and deliver services on an ad hoc basis.
And that would include not providing services in the lease space in Simcoe.
They are currently providing service out of the lease space in Simcoe, and that is slated to continue for the next few years.
The next
Few years.
few years. Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Sluss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You indicated you're going to multi-year budgeting format. Do all the participating municipalities that are involved, are they all on multi-year budgeting? Or some aren't? Is it a mishmash?
Through the chair. So what we're doing is going through multi-year forecasting so that we have a better idea of the proposals and can better present to our municipalities what those increases might look like on a multi-year basis like we have today. And so you're our first presentation of the 4 municipalities, but we will be going to each municipality to present that. And then working forward every year, we're hoping to have a 2 to 3 year forecast moving forward of what those costs will be.
Okay, and are the other participating municipal governments on multi-year budgeting, or are you just giving them information that you have because you're generating it?
Through the chair, I think most have a multi-year capital plan, but for operating budgets, it's usually year to year.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In answering Councillor McCurry's question, you said you took on 12 to 14 new hires with the merger. And that was because you didn't get positions from some of the other communities. How many FTEs are those 12 to 14 people replacing?
Through the chair, if I understood that question, it's a difficult question to answer. At Haldeman Norfolk, the services were provided by corporate staff, and there was jobs and roles amongst almost 40 different staff that were providing the corporate services to the health unit because it was a single department within the entire corporation. So it would include 0.25 of a communications staff, or 0.5 of a finance staff, or 0.5 of a finance manager that was dealing with the health unit. So in general, it was between 7 and 8 FTEs came across funding wise from the municipality to the newly merged health unit to cover those corporate service FTEs.
So you hired 12 to replace 7 FTEs.
Right, and some of those are temporary contracts in order to do the merger work of changing over everyone's emails, changing over everyone's computers, getting the new website up and running and things like that. That will be short-term contract work.
And how many is that out of the 12?
At this time, we're still looking at the balance of staff and what's going to be required at the end of merger funding.
Okay, so you're gonna look at right sizing your management level and.
That is correct.
And ended up without extras. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Carpenter.
Just a quick question to follow up on the chair's comment. So the province is only guaranteed a 1% increase which means if we've got inflation of 2 or 3%, the municipality is going to be picking, you're going to have a shortfall in your budget, and then all the municipalities are going to be paying for more. So the province's commitment to pay 75% is going to be reduced significantly over the years. So I'm clear about that. Province is downloading to the property taxpayer for this. Okay, I wanted to be clear about that. Thank you.
Mayor Davis, I believe you have an amendment.
Yes, I have an amendment. I believe Councilman McCreary is going to be supporting this. And it's a similar amendment to what we did last year, and that the budget increase for our city portion of Grand Erie Public Health Unit be a 1% increase over what it was last year. And by way of explanation, the comparable, first of all, I quite agree with Councillor Carpenter. This is all about downloading onto two municipalities, an obligation that really lies with the province in terms of funding and supporting the healthcare system. If you look at the comparable for me is paramedics. And in paramedics, what they do is, although there's a 1-year lag, they commit to paying 50%. And they actually will, from year to year, pay 50% of the actual cost from the prior year. They don't use 1%. Now, mind you, there's a 1-year lag, but they, so far in the last 6-7 years that I've seen it, they've never deviated from that. They look at your budget from the last year and they'll give you 50%. I can't understand why the same rationale doesn't apply here. You know, we're limited, the province is limiting it to 1%, their portion, year after year after year. They mandate most of these programs that the public health puts in place and provides for the benefit of the residents in this area. And I think at some point, are we just going to sit here and take it all the time, this downloading? And the province, which has far greater fiscal resources than we do, this downloading onto us, I mean, the downloading's bad enough, but when you're exacerbating that by saying brazenly 1%, that's all you're going to get, even though we mandate 80% of what you do. I think there's a need for municipalities to make a statement. How else do we make it? We can pass a resolution asking the province, you know, pay your proportionate share. But I think we have to go a step further, as we did last year, and limit the increase another 1%, which is just matching exactly what the province does.
Councillor Van Tilburg.
Who was the seconder?
Councillor McCreary.
So it is on the floor. Very good. Yeah, I think I'll be happy to support that amendment. One of the things that seems to get confusing in the merger is that when I look at the figures prior to the merger, we were still dealing with a 5.79% increase, is around $3 million. All the figures are actually pretty close. And so one of the things I do want to recognize is that initially I was going to be speaking about how come we're a percentage over than what we should have been, when it was actually us playing to play catch up for the year before. So really, from the merger, regardless of the 17%, which I don't agree with on the merger fund, that's just the cost of making all the things. When you look at the real impact on the city of Brantford, this would have resulted in us from going from these 5% to a 4% increase, which is actually a benefit. Then I hear what the province is doing, and I have to agree with the mayor. Anything that we're gaining, we're actually losing. So that is not helping us, even though we've got a merger that's trying to bring us down. We're now shooting in the other direction. So I'll be happy to support the mayor's amendment.
Councillor Carpenter.
I got the opposite opinion because I will not be supporting it. So, because I do agree the province should be stepping up, paying their share. But I don't agree that we should be making the health unit and the service from the health unit suffer because the province isn't paying the share they should pay. We're picking on the agency because the province isn't funding them properly. That doesn't make any sense to me. We should be having Will Boma sit here and we should be drilling him about why he's kind of ask him to come forward then. And that's what the amendment should say. Bring Will Boma here and say, why are you not paying your fair share? Why are you putting that on the property taxpayer? But what this amendment does, it takes funding, shortfalls, the health unit funding, it shortfalls them like it did last time. And we already saw the hole that they're in now at 6.8 instead of 4.5 because of the resolution last year wasn't appropriate in my opinion. So I won't be supporting this by saying we're going to punish the health unit because the province isn't doing their fair share. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Councillor Scully.
I agree with Counselor Carpenter. I will not be supporting this amendment. And while everybody's sitting up here with their political chest thumping, I would like to remind everyone that there's actual end users who require the services being provided by Grand Dairy Public Health. And why are they going to suffer? So, you know, provincial or municipal, it lands on the taxpayer's plate either way. It's not great. Do I wish that this organization had more funding? Yes, of course. I wish every organization sitting in the chair today had more funding from all tiers of government, but that's not the way it works. We have to make a decision. This organization has existed for 11 months now. We're transferring our preconceived notions of what happened with Grant County Health Unit onto this new organization who's, I think, pulling up their bootstraps and doing the best that they can. And we're working forward. We're fiscally forward thinking. We're doing the best that we can. I don't see why we're going to play these games and why this council always feels the need to play these games with organizations providing good services to the people of Brantford. So no, I will not be supporting this amendment.
Point of privilege,
Point
this
of
is not a game, this is a matter of principle. And I'm gonna raise a point of personal.
It's a
privilege
game.
on Councillor
Call it whatever
Sullivan.
you want. It's a game.
I've raised a point of personal privilege. Yes. The point of personal privilege is that.
You
Councillor
haven't been
Sullivan-
recognized by the chair, so I'm going to call a point of order.
the
Mayor
procedure-
Davis, go first.
Yes. Point of personal privilege. I believe we have in our code of conduct that you are not in your comments to cast aspersions or comment on the motivation of those that are bringing amendments. And to suggest that we're game playing, I suggest denigrates those that moved and seconded this resolution. And I would appreciate an apology from Councillor Sikoli, or that she be directed to do that.
I think on this one, the mayor is correct, Councillor Scully.
I'm sorry, Mayor Davis.
That's better.
I wasn't directed to apologize to the seconder, but I'm sorry, Councillor Dan McCreary.
Councillor Martin to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be supporting the amendment that's on the floor, but partly for different reasons. Before the merger, we got no information on what was going on. After the merger, we got no information about what happened. And tonight we get a 2-line budget. That's hardly any reasonable information to make any kind of decision on. The 3rd line in there is one that our city staff added because of making up for this kind of amendment last year. And I was going to be voting against this simply because they're still doing the needle giveaway that I see as very problematic. And until they remove that from their budget, I won't be supporting their budget at any time. But other than this 1% that's been brought forward in this amendment, I agree with it completely. And I'll be supporting it instead of voting against it. But I hope that council can support the amendment, because if they don't, I'll be voting against the budget ask.
Councillor Hunt.
So I guess my question to the agency staff is, this is the first municipality that you have done a budget presentation for. So a 1% increase from the city of Brantford requires you to go back and change or ask for the other 3 municipalities. Am I assuming that correctly?
Through the chair, in response to the question, no, we would not change our ask to the other municipalities, because the expectation is that each municipality contributes their share based on population of the total municipal funding required for the budget.
So then the alternative is a cut to service somewhere along the line, or a cut to something in your budget. Okay, and for that rationale, I'm not going to support the amendment because it requires cuts to service delivery, and public health is something that, well, anything related to the healthcare system is not something that should be cut, in my view.
Councilor McCreary.
Chair, thank you. So last year you asked for a lot more money from us than we gave you. Where did you find the money to make up the shortfall?
Through the chair, in conversations with city staff, we actually did receive the funding that was requested, not the 1% increase.
It's most interesting. So do you expect if we pass this amendment tonight, you'll still get all the money?
Through the chair, based on the legislative process for funding of health units, yes.
There you go. Thank you.
Councilor Carpenter, to the amendment.
You want me to be the only one to speak to the amendment? So the funding formula is mandatory. So your budget increase is mandatory under the legislation, as you see it.
Yes, I believe, sorry, through the chair, believe the process is once the budget is approved by our Board of Health,
yeah,
it just becomes an amount payable by the municipalities.
Okay, all right. So just speaking to it, then this is just really is I don't know what this is, because whatever the amendment is and passes, it doesn't mean that the funding's not there. It's just a message, I guess. I still won't support it.
Mayor Davis.
Thank you. I'll speak to this, considering the comments that have been made, but dealing with the issue, not the individuals or their motivations. The difficulty we have in dealing with the province is they do this to us time and time again. They rely on municipalities not resisting, other than passing resolutions, which generally are ignored. This is not intended as a way of taking out on the Grand Area Public Health Unit a funding problem we have with the province. This is the first of hopefully what will be a series of negotiations. We can be hopefully optimistic that maybe the province will react to this, and it might actually, let's say, result in some action by the province. And it's not the final word on this. It's not, the final word's not until we actually do the budget, the mayor's budget in early February. So, but you know, at the first instance, if we're not prepared to do this, then what message are we sending to the province? You know, just keep doing what you're doing, which is having us pay an ever increasing portion of costs that are your responsibility, and you propose a partnership with us in administering and paying these expenses, but then you turn around and do 1%. And they've done this historically with public health for many years. And why is it they do something totally different with paramedics? I think all we're asking for is that the province does the same thing it does with paramedics and continues to pay its percentage share of the funding. If we don't do something like this, it'll never change. And so it's not the final word. It's setting up a position, making a position based on principle, sending a message to the province. Maybe it comes to naught, but like I said, it's not the final word on the budget and how much we contribute. So I'd hope that we would support it at this stage to, as I said, send a message and set the stage for further discussions and negotiations with the province.
Councilor Caputo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not going to be supporting the amendment because I don't believe that this is the arena that this conversation needs to take place in. Do I agree with the theory and practicality that the province isn't doing what they have to do? Absolutely. I think that's a different venue for us to take it forward, not this particular one here. The health unit is a needed entity in our operation, and it has to be there. Now, I was on the board 2 years ago, I guess it was 2 years ago, and I was absolutely livid when I saw the budget increase at that time. And I think we brought it forth, and I wanted to make adjustments then. And thankfully, the province stepped into that. But if we were to deliver a budget that would have been online where we were, the province would have delivered absolutely nothing. Correct? So I think that We'll do what we need to do here, but then we take this to a different level going forward. Maybe it becomes a notice of motion, maybe it becomes something different, but this isn't the arena.
All right, call the vote on the amendment. Counselor Van Tilburg.
You know, when something comes before us in the estimates committee, our job is to look at it. And we're there to look to make sure that we're getting every value for the dollar and for the residential taxpayer. And having the debate, and this has been a two-sided debate, is good, thorough estimates work. And to think that this is not where we should be doing it is folly. This is actually where we should be doing it. This is why it's been highlighted, brought forward, debated. We will vote on this. But to say that this is not the place, what I would like to say is this is absolutely the place. Where it goes from here, we will see. But to suggest that when something comes before us, before estimates, and that estimates is not the place to debate it, no, this is why we're here.
Call the vote on the amendment.
The amendment carries on a vote of 6-5. All those in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sless, McCreary, Van Tilburg, and Martin. All those opposed, Councillors Carpenter, Sicoli, Caputo, Hunt, and Samwell.
Any discussion as amended? All right. Thank you. Now move on to item 4.2.3, John Noble Homes. I would ask that John Noble Homes speakers, Raquel Diaz, Director of Finance, and Agora, Acting Administrator, and County of Brant Councilor and Committee Chair of the John Noble Homes, John McAlpine, please come forward to speak to the year 3 budget. And please note you have 10 minutes to present.
Testing, okay. Okay. I want to start by thanking the city for allowing us the opportunity to present today. For those who don't know me, I am John McAlpine, and it has been my honor to serve as the chair of the John Noble Home over the past year. Joining me today is Anna Goria, Acting Administrator, and Raquel Diaz, Director of Finance. When COVID first hit Ontario, nursing homes were among the hardest hit. The pandemic exposed significant gaps between the private and public homes and the quality of care residents receive. John Noble Home was recognized as a shining example in managing this crisis, though we face challenges and lingering effects that continue today. Many projects and upgrades were delayed during this time, and easing precautions took longer as we worked through the balance residents' safety and quality of life. Recent progress. This past year has felt like building a 747 jet while flying it. Over the last couple of years, we've steadily upgraded technology, improved staff training, and raised standard of care for our residents. The industry has changed dramatically over the last 20 years. Previously, many residents could still drive. Today, acuity level is much higher, and the average stay is about 1 year. Thanks to programs like the Day and Stay, more community members can live at home longer and a better quality of life. For those on fixed incomes, we offer 26 affordable houses units, saving the province money and easing stress for families caring for loved ones with dementia. Every dollar we spend is carefully utilized under Anna Raquel's leadership. We've seen steady improvements through the collaboration with our community, hospital partners, and healthcare providers. One of the top priorities is aligning strategic goals with community needs. The planned addition of 40 beds will help address the 266 bed wait list. Modern facilities not only improve efficiency and service delivery, but also signal to staff that we value the best practices and provide the tools they need. Expand service capacity. We aim to increase the number of residents our patients can serve, either by expanding physical space, adding new services, or optimizing current operations. Maintain or improve quality of care. As we grow, maintaining that ideally improving our standards of care remains our top priority. 3, attract and retain quality staff. High quality care depends on skilled and dedicated professionals. We focus on creating a positive workplace culture, offering competitive compensation and providing opportunities for training and career development. Stability in staffing ensures consistent, compassionate care. This involves reducing turnover, supporting work-life balance, and recognizing staff contribution to foster long-term commitments. Addressing rising operational costs. With costs for supplies, utilities, and staffing increases, we need to manage resources efficiently. Finding savings through innovation, bulk purchasing, and operations improves without compromising quality care. 5, ensure facility safety and functionality. A safe, well-maintained environmental protection residents, staff, and visitors. 6, support long-term financial stability. Ultimately, all these goals must support by sound financial planning. We'll work to diversify revenue, manage expenses wisely, and plan strategically to ensure the facility remains financially healthy for the future. With a 25% increase in capacity, we anticipate our budget will grow from $23,078,139 to $28,236,170, representing a 22.35% increase overall. Despite this growth, to the city and the county is only a 7.4%, thanks to efficiencies and better tracking of staff time, enabling us to meet the 4 hours of care standard ahead of most Ontario homes. The provincial funding model. For 2026 fiscal year, provincial funding is projected to increase across all major categories. The overall envelope funding shows the largest increase of $3.27 million, representing nearly 24% growth, which supports the facilities expanding capacity and care of delivery. Other funding streams are expected to rise by $1.33 million, 26.3%, reflecting additional programs, support, and adjustments to operational costs, including incremental increases to PSWs, IPAC, and extended care hours. High-intensity needs fundings will see a modest increase of $95,000, 11.1%, ensuring continued support for residents requiring enhanced care. Preferred accommodation revenue are projected to grow by $250,000, 48.5%, driven by higher occupancy and expanded premium room availability. Overall, these increases strengthen the home's ability to manage inflationary pressures, fund wage and benefit adjustments, and maintain quality resident care and rising costs. Preferred accommodation revenue will rise by $250,000 overall through increased private rooms while maintaining 60% for basic needs beds. Expenditures. Nursing and personal care increases of $3,267,085 are 4.32%. This rise reflects increased staffing hours, wage adjustments, and growing complexity of resident care needs. As care demands rise, ensuring adequate nursing coverage and maintaining quality standards require higher investment. Higher intensity needs increase of $100,000, 11.11%. We're seeing more residents with complex medical and behavioral needs, which drive up costs for specialized care. Additional staffing, clinical supplies, increased insurers we need to meet the high intensity care requirements safely and effectively. Raw food increases $162,000, 118%, or 20% overall. Food costs have risen significantly due to inflation, supplier pricing, and the need to meet higher nutritional standards. Despite these increases, our focus remains on providing healthy, high-quality meals for residents. Programs and support services increase of $334,705, or 30.54%. This growth supports expanded resident engagement programs, therapy services, recreation, investing in the areas enhances resident quality of life and supports their physical and emotional well-being. 5. Other accommodation increases of $1,274,124 million, or 18.84%. This substantial rise includes maintenance, utilities, housekeeping, and facility upgrades. The increase reflects higher energy costs, equipment replacement, and investments needed to maintain a safe, functional environment to residents and staff. Overall, these increases highlight both external pressures like inflation, higher care demands, and our commitment to maintain quality services, safe facilities, and meaningful resident programs. Each area represents a vital investment in sustaining the quality and stability of our care environment. The budget drivers. Staffing expenditure requires 28 full-time and 28 part-time staff, increasing total staff from 374 to 430. Compensation, a review revealed wages have fallen to the 40th percentile. This year's adjustments bring us up to the 50th percentile, improving retention and recruitment. In addition to that, we have wage pressures across the sector that need additional non-union compensation, upcoming union contact, cost increases, ONA settlement, 23-24, 10% wage increase, in line with other province increases. CIAU settlement projected higher than expected, but aligned with provincial health and sector trends. Food costs rising beyond core inflation. HR needs addition to the HR management position to support expanded staffing with the increase of the new build. Provincial funding has not fully kept pace with the labor market inflation. With a 25% increase in capacity, we anticipate our budget to grow from 23,078,139 to 28,236,170, a 22.35% increase. So despite this growth, the increase to the city and the county is only 7.04%, thanks to efficiency and better tracking staff time, enabling us to meet the 4 hours of care standard ahead of most other Ontario homes. In 2026 fiscal year, provincial funding is projected to increase across all major categories. The overall budget envelope funding shows the largest increase of $3.27 million, representing nearly 24% growth, with supports and facilities, expanded capacity, and care delivery. Other funding streams are expected to rise $1.33 million, 26%. Did I just repeat? Other funding streams are expected to rise $1.33 million, 26.3%, reflecting additional program supports, adjustment operational costs, including enhancements, PSWs, IPAC, and extended care hours. High intensity needs funding will see a modest increase of $95,000, 11.1%, ensuring continued support for resident required enhanced care. Preferred accommodations revenues are projected to grow to $250,000, 48.5%, driven by higher occupancy and expanded premium room availability. Overall, these increases strengthen the home's ability to manage inflationary pressures, funded the benefit adjustments, maintain quality of residents' care, and rising costs. Preferred accommodations revenue will rise by $250,000, increase private rooms while maintaining 60% basic needs. Nursing and personal care increase of $3,267,085 is an increase of 24.32%. This rise reflects increased staffing hours, wage adjustments, and growing complexity of resident care needs as care demands rise, ensuring adequate nursing coverage and maintaining high quality standards requiring higher investments. Higher intensity needs increase of 100,000, 11.1%. Specialized care, additional staffing, clinical supplies. Raw food increases 162,000, 20%. Programs and support services increased 334,705, 30.54. This growth supports expanded resident engagement programs, therapy services. Other accommodations increase.
Councilor McAlpine?
Yeah.
Do we have a mover and seconder to extend the time? We're at the limit. Moved by Councilor Samuel, second by Councilor Caputo. Call the vote. Five minutes is what we're voting on.
Motion carries on a recorded vote of 10-0. All those in favor, Mayor Davis, Councilors Sullivan, McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Sicoli, Caputo, Martin, Hunt, and Samwell.
Thank you. Councilor McAlpine, please continue.
Okay. High intensity needs increase 100,000, 11.1%. We're seeing more residents with complex medical behavior needs and drivers of costs. Raw food increases 162,000, 20%. Programs and support services increased 334,705, 30.5. The growth of supports expanded resident engagement program, therapy services. Other accommodations increased 1,274,000 million. An 18.84%. The substantial rise includes maintenance, utilities, housekeeping, and facility upgrades. Closing summary, overall, these increases highlight both external pressures like inflation, high care demands, and the commitment to maintaining quality services, safe facilities, and meaningful resident programs. Each area represents a vital investment, sustaining high quality, stability of care environment. Budget drivers, staffing expansion. So here we have our budget drivers for the increase in funding from the government of 939,304. Preferred occupation, this is in reference to our increases for the municipalities, 50,089. Total net budget increase of 211,063. The county share would be 61,885, and the city total budget increase would be 49,178, or a 6.89% increase. Okay. So on this slide, we have the projected projects that are coming forward in the near future. We have the Davis Court, Mohawk Terrace, 180,000, John Noble Support Services, 61,326, John Noble Home, Bell Lane Terrace refurbishment, 30,388, John Noble Home Resident Room refurbishment, 200,000, John Noble Home Nursing Equipment, 79,008, John Noble Home Building and Repairs of 86,000. Total of $637,543. City share is $459,668.50. The proposed budget represents a responsible approach to current challenges while sustaining our commitment to residents and staff. It addresses wage growth, inflation, service costs, and facilities needed within a framework of financial accountability. Management respectfully requests the city's review and approval of their proposed budget to ensure continued delivery of safe, high-quality care and maintain a financial and operational stability. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Mayor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Councilman Calpine, thanks for coming out tonight to provide us with the presentation. But I gotta say, I've got quite a few questions with the presentation you've submitted to us. First of all, did I hear correctly that some staff are getting a 10% pay increase in 1 year?
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair. That is correct. This is the 2-year trajectory for the contract, and that is aligning with the provincial standards. So basically, what we originally anticipated was around 6% within those 2 years, and we end up actually closing on 10% within those 2 years. So that is what we see like through the province, and that's how behind long-term care is when it comes to wages. So now we aligned for the registered nurses, and that's when I expect more force coming my way to stay.
So is it 10% in 1 year or 10%
2
in
years.
2 years?
Over 2 years, through you, Mr. Chair.
And is that bargaining that's taking place at a provincial level, or is this bargaining that has occurred at the John Noble Hall?
This is based through you, Mr. Chair. This is we actually were almost the last home who locked it, and we following the trends in the province and multiple homes. So this is reflective of multiple homes projected increases. Sorry, Raquel can take over that one too.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just clarification on the increases. So we have the union is ONA, and we settled in 2025 a contract that expired in 2023. So from 2023 to 2025, normally what the home has done in the past is seeing what the increases were done in hospitals and other long-term cares there around Brantford. So, and then we look as well in how the percentage of how much the increase of those wages were in those places. And then we match it, or we come into conclusion that we can match to those increases. So we're done in 2025 for ONA, the specific union group is the RNs. We increased them at the same level as they were already increased in the hospital and other places on other long-term cares around Brantford. So that came out to 10% increase between 23 and then 2025. Now in March 2025, we're going back to negotiations again. We're still working with them to go back again to negotiations and see if we're getting another increase for after March 2025 to the following year. Now, in answering the question, sorry, and to answering the questions, yes, the ministry, the provincial government is funding these increases for our certified care, and that is how we are managing to pay those increases as well.
Second speaking opportunity, Mayor Davis.
Yes, please.
Councilor Martin, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The 42% increase on base salaries and benefits, that's including all the new people for the expanded area. They're being hired partway through the year, correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, they are part of that increase. The budget is done and supposed to be opening those beds by March 1st. And we had delays, of course, we're gonna be seeing some savings on it.
Do you know what the annualized the cost will be to annualize those salaries in the next
For the increased salaries or
for 2027? What will the annualized cost be?
So right now we have a 12 million cost. So we're assuming that we're gonna be spending another 3 million. So around 15 million for next year.
No, but just for the new staff that you're hiring, do you know what the annualized cost?
Yes, the annual cost, the total grant is around 3 millions.
Okay.
We're considering to hire 58, so it's 52 lines, we call it. So between there will be 28 full-time positions. That includes PSWs, RMs, RPMs, and mostly dietitians, housekeeping, anything, everything related, recreational, that will be all in there for the new 40 beds.
Okay. In the information we have, it's showing 908,000 for the cost of new staff.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, that is additional cost that is not being covered by the ministry for provincial funding. That's
just what's not covered by the province.
that's correct.
Okay. So what is the total cost for the new staff that are being hired for the expanded section?
The total cost. So, can you repeat the question, please?
What's the cost of new staff that are going to be hired in 26?
Yeah, the approximate cost is going to be around 3 millions. The total.
Okay. Yeah, that's the problem with getting very limited information. Thank you.
Councilor McCreary.
Thank you for coming today. Nice to see you again. You've got an increase in the cost of raw food, $32,000. That's $100 a day. How many residents do you feed every day?
Actually, right now, 156 residents.
156 times 3 meals plus snacks.
That's correct.
So that's already a pretty skinny chicken.
That's
not
correct.
to put too fine a point on it.
Yes.
How much does that equate to per diem per resident or per meal, whichever you can decide?
Yes, $12. Right now, $13.07.
That's for every resident for every day?
That's
for
correct.
every meal?
That's no for every day.
For every day. So you're
That's-
feeding people on $4 a day.
That's correct. That is, through you, Mr. Chair, that is a funding that is provided by the ministry, provincial funding. And then the Young Noble Home supplement that cost with municipality funding as well. So the provincial sends.
Okay, I understand. I wonder if you might provide us with your global budget and line by line budget and show us as part of that budget who pays for what. That might be helpful. If the clerk could note that and we can ask that in a memo to them, so we can have a review of that. It looks like, you know, it's a shame to think that we're having to get by with that level of funding to provide basic needs to the people that live there. Anyway, that's my comment. Thank you.
Mayor Davis.
Thank you. I want to make sure I understand this. Do I understand that the county share is going down by 0.15% and the city share is going up almost 7%? Or am I misinterpreting?
Through you, Mr. Chair. No, we're just adding in, so in the slide, we're showing the county share, sorry, is 27.9%. And if we do the comparison between budget 2025 to 2026, their share is 61,000, they equate 7.42%. So it's increased from previous budget submitted in 2025.
Yeah, I think I agree with Councillor McCreary. It might be helpful to see your overall budgets. This is a little bit confusing seeing this little snapshot. But one question that the operating impact from capital regarding the additional 40 beds, so that's 118,991. So that's not labor then. Is that something other than labor or salaries?
For
So you've got a 42% increase in base salaries and benefits, right? And some of that is due to staffing the 40 bed addition.
Yes, so to you, Mr. Chair, yes. So the 42.86% represent the increase or the variance based in salaries and benefits. That equals the 908,178, right?
Yeah, and then there's another line that says the operating impact from capital additional 40-bed March opening.
Yes, so
118,991.
that's correct. So what we're trying to explain in here is that our variant, how our our increase is come up to. So basically, for the accounting with the 40 new beds, we're getting increased just the variance. We're talking about the variance, 908,178. And then adding the impact to the city and the county, the opening the 40 beds equates to 118,991. So if we need 3 millions to additionally, or 5 millions additionally to open these beds, then the province is covering most of the cost. So we are short with 118,991. That's gonna be the annual cost by the municipalities to be able to open these 40 beds operationally.
One last question. The human resources manager, how many staff do you have in the human resources department?
So right now the home has 350 employees.
Right.
We're planning to hire 28 full-time staff, and then as a few around the same amount in hours part-time staff. So sorry.
Human resource staff.
Oh, human resource, right now we have only one.
Okay. So just one person in human resources.
That's right. That's correct.
So with this, you'll have two?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Carpenter.
Thank you. Thank you. So when you increase the wages, we were at the 40th percentile and we're going to the 50th percentile for wage increase for the non-unionized employees. Is that correct?
Can you repeat again? Sorry.
So we were at the 40th percentile for our non-unionized employees. We're moving at the 50 percentile for the pay structure for non-unionized employees. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, in this market with everybody building long-term care homes, what has our success rate been at getting people to come to John Noble Home to work?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So now, once we try to equalize the wages throughout all the sectors, unionized and non-unionized, then we have better success rate. And I have to say, November 1st was the first time when nobody called sick, and I have full house staffed well. So the success rate is real, and we're still working to close the gaps.
Okay, I guess I can speak to it now tonight as well. Speaking to the budget then, so we were at the 40 percentile. We're paying less for our non-unionized staff because unionized staff are getting wage increases while the non-unionized staff are not getting those significant wage increases. The market's changed substantially for trying to attract people to work someplace, especially in long-term care. And our staff at John Noble have done a remarkable job under those circumstances at having a full house of employees, and they changed the culture recently, very recently, was very well. The other thing is the hiring of the extra HR person is to manage what is 400 employees, to be able to manage and keep employees, reduce sick time, those sorts of things, right?
That.
Okay, and thank you. That's my questions.
Councilor Hunt.
Yeah, so just a couple of things that I wanted to point out. So the John Noble Homes overall budget, overall operating budget is $28.2 million. And the operating budget that is covered by the two municipalities that own the home is $2,314,326. So if we just let that sink in, this operating budget is a very small, presented to us, is a very small portion. So I've heard more than one request for the full operating budget, but I think what's important to realize here is that 90% of this budget is actually covered by the province. And the fact that we are going to be opening 40 beds, which is a significant investment in long-term care in our community. We saw in one of the slides that we have 266 individuals in our community waiting for a long-term care bed. We're only opening 40. We also know that there's a significant shortage of beds at hospital because there are a number of acute care beds that are actually being taken up by people who are on the wait list for a long-term care bed because they are not well enough to go home. So this 40 bed expansion is a great news story for our community. And I think that's a very important takeaway here. And the fact that we are going from 156 beds to 196 beds. So we're increasing 40 beds, but we're only looking at a 6.89%.
Councillor Hunt, do we have a question coming from them?
Sorry, you told
We're supposed to be asking questions.
You told me it was a speaking opportunity.
No, it's questions and you can comment based on the responses to your questions.
Okay, I asked that question. You said I had a speaking opportunity. Okay. So all of that being said, is that correct?
Thank you. That is very correct. Yes. So I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to say that, yes, we are 28 million operating budget company, business, I would say, and we try to be very responsible how we run this business. So the city and the county gracefully, very gracefully is giving us in 2025 subsidy of around $3 million. And we're going really far with the money we're getting. There's lots of services. There is Honorable Home now is the place to be, not just to receive the care, but also to work. And I want to really emphasize that. And we're working very hard to be the best and a leader in our community. And I wanted to ask the board and councillors to continue supporting us and to emphasize that in 2026, with that 40 extra beds and also extra services coming to day and stay and Bell Lane apartments, we're asking for $149,000. And at the end of 2026, hopefully, I will proudly say that maybe I don't need it. I'm still working with the ministry to offset that piece. So please support us and give us some time, and I will prove how hard we work. Thank you.
I also need to make note that the absence of Councillor Celeste was based on that he had a conflict as he has a family member that works at the home. So that's why he's not been present for this. Not seeing any other questions. We're going to take a 30-minute break and we'll re-adjourn at 20 to 7. Thank you. Okay, I now call Estimates Committee back into order. We'll now move on to item 4.2.4, the Brantford Public Library. I would now ask that Ray Lynn Amarburo, CEO of Brantford Public Library, and Ken Siemens, Corporate Service Administrator, to please come forward to speak to year 3 budget confirmation for local boards. Please note you have 10 minutes to present.
I can do it. Thanks. Thank you, Chair Sullivan and members of the committee for the opportunity to speak about the library's budget submission this evening and welcoming Ken and myself. Oops, I'm just backing up. I'd just like to mention that, as always, the budget was prepared with direction and approval from the Brantford Public Library Board. So also in attendance this evening is Marian McGeehan, Chair of the Library Board. I will start out with a brief reminder of some key information about library services and some recent highlights. The library currently has 2 branches, 2 kiosks, and 63 staff positions. We provide a total average of over 105 open hours per week. And in addition to our physical locations, community members can access digital resources 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and eligible customers can even sign up to have materials delivered if they have mobility challenges. In 2025, we ran a couple of surveys, one to check in with the community and one to check in with staff. And I'm proud to report that the majority of responses for both were favorable. This past year, we also introduced automatic renewals for borrowed items, and we responded to a dramatic increase in demand for printing services by reconfiguring our service points at the main library. We strengthened local partnerships, which helps to ensure our services reflect the diversity of the community. And we continued advancing plans and decisions to prepare for the opening of the Shellard-Layton branch in the fall of 2026. And of course, we also kept busy with the day-to-day work of welcoming community members and providing access to a wide range of services and resources. Our collections offer something for everyone, from bestsellers to digital historical photos, from online magazines and newspapers to crafting equipment. And new this year, we have ghost hunting kits and metal detectors added to the list. Looking forward, our website will be migrating to a new platform in early 2026. Also, we plan to undertake the development of a facility master plan for the first time. Mostly, though, in the coming year, we're expecting to continue dedicating significant attention to plans and preparations for the Shellard Lane branch. With less than a year to go, purchasing collections, furniture, equipment, and recruitment activities will be prioritized, along with finalizing operational agreements with facility partners. Moving on to the main event, the budget information. The Library Board approved operating budget submission for this 3rd year of the multi-year budget includes no net change for the 2026 forecasted budget and an increase for the 2027 forecast as compared to the initial budget submission in 2024. The updated submission matches the previous forecasted amount of $6,652,800 for 2026. This amount is a 17.62% increase over the 2025 budget. While we are sticking to the original forecasted amount, the 2026 operating budget does include some significant unforeseen adjustments. For one, there is a $125,000 loss of revenue from Wilfrid Laurier University, as we will no longer be hosting their Brantford campus collection effective January 1st, 2026. For another, significant health and dental benefits increases were unexpectedly introduced in 2024 and continued compounded in 2025. So the 2026 budget submission now includes the increases already realized, plus further forecasted increases in 2026 and 2027. Additionally, as noted last year, the budget for the new library branch was refined as the planning progressed from the initial submission, resulting in some increases, particularly relating to staffing needs. So these increases in 2026 that I just outlined will be offset by a later opening of the new branch than was originally planned, which is how we're able to come in at no change from the initial forecasted 17.62% increase. In 2027, we are forecasting an increase to the previously submitted budget. The new number works out to be around 7% over the initial budgeted amount submitted for 2027. In 2027, the above-mentioned budget factors will take full effect without the mitigating impact of a delayed branch opening to offset. The sizable operating budget increases for 2026 and 2027 overall are atypical of the library's usual budget requests, primarily because of the new branch. We are grateful for council's investment in a new location so that more residents can readily access what we have to offer. So there are 4 items identified for the library in the 2026 to 2027 capital plan. 3 of the projects will be funded in whole or in part by library reserves. The main library building automation system replacement was identified in previous capital submissions for 2026. This project will consolidate separate heating and cooling system controls into one system and replace aging components. The project is funded through 50% library reserves and 50% city capital funding. The funding request has been changed slightly in this submission to move the city's portion of the request to 2027 to allow for a design and planning stage to occur in 2026. The design and planning will include an estimate that can be used to update the amount in the 2027 budget submission if necessary. Moving on to the courier van, the library currently uses personal vehicles to transport and deliver library materials and items for events and outreach. With the addition of the Shellard Lane branch, management is proposing the procurement of a library-owned vehicle to be used by staff for transporting collection materials and items. The library board has authorized use of the endowment trust fund for this purpose, so it will be funded by donations made to the library. The contract for construction of the Shellard Lane branch, as we know, was awarded in 2024, and substantial work has been ongoing throughout 2025. At the current time, the budget status for the project is at risk of overruns due to extra work early on in the construction relating to the quality of the soil at the site. Additionally, library management has reviewed furniture, fixtures, and equipment requirements and identified a revision to earlier costings specifically for shelving. At this time, it's anticipated that an additional total amount of $1,034,000 is required to ensure the project is funded to a level to avoid any potential delays relating to changes and to procure the necessary FF&E. Broken down, the library is requesting $724,000 from the city, which is eligible for development charges funding, as I understand it, plus $200,000 will be funded through donations in the Library Trust Endowment Fund, and as the new library branch will be shared with the school, a portion of the shelving will be covered by the school board as well. Finally, we are submitting a request for $80,000 for external support to develop a facility master plan. The plan will identify immediate, short, medium, and long-term preventative maintenance, replacements, and/or renovation priorities for existing facilities. And to wrap up, I'm grateful for the opportunity to share about the work that we do at the library and our exciting plans to expand on that work so that even more residents can conveniently access what the library has to offer. Thank you for your consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions you have now.
Councilor Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So how much did the library cost originally? The original budget for the library?
The new, through the chair, sorry, the new library. The full capital request. Ken, sorry, do you have that handy? I want to say. $9 million?
The previous capital request for the new branch was, where are we here? the prior approved amount was 11,100,000.
And so the overrun that your shortage is $1 million of that.
Yes,
To kind of put it in
correct,
perspective. And the operating costs for the library are gonna be $500,000 a year. I'm reading 524,000 for, is that in the operating budget for the new branch?
Through the chair, it's closer to $1 million for operating for the new branch. The 500,000 is for 2026, which we won't be open for a full year in
Okay, so
2026.
the operating cost is $1 million annually, so
That's
next
correct.
year's budget will have another $500,000 in there when it runs a full year. Okay, thank you.
Mayor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's great to see the Shelter Lane area finally they can look forward to receiving a level of services that the rest of the city enjoys. But getting to that question, which is you were just being asked about that, Ray Lynn, which is that 524,500. Do you still believe the new library in the Sheltered Lane area will be open in September, or are we on track for that, or is there likely to be a different date?
Through the chair, certainly, actually nothing is certainly. So I'm trying to figure out how to word this. So far, we haven't heard that won't be the case. There has been some project delays all along, though the various parties have indicated that there was still hope that they would catch up. I think we'll know a lot more very soon based on whether the current construction is ready to be winter ready. Ken knows the words better than I do.
Yeah, through the chair, looking from a updated construction schedule will be coming through to the entire team as they get to being winter tight so that the internal trades can start their work.
Right. So it's not likely to be open before September.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. So if it opens up, let's say in November, you'll then have a surplus. What will happen with the surplus?
Through the chair, past practice has been surplus goes into library reserves. That's been past practice, but.
Yeah, through the chair, this is the first time the library's been opened in Brantford for 50 years. So I think based on information, we would know that when we're reviewing the 2027 budget, when we're back here for the year 4 validation. And based on timing, we would definitely factor that in to that budget prep. I can assure you that any funds that are related to the new branch would not be spent on other things than the new branch if the branch doesn't open on time.
Okay, good, thanks.
Councillor Hunt.
Thank you, and thanks for coming, Raylan and Ken. A couple of questions. You mentioned the Wilfrid Laurier University, the loss of $125,000 in revenue because you're not hosting their collection. Are they like opening some form of a library within the campus so that the students at the Brantford campus will not be using the library? Is that what I understand?
Through the chair, yes, they are planning to relocate a portion of their collection to one of their current buildings, the Grand River Hall. I believe they have a learning commons where librarians already work. So they're planning on relocating a portion of the collection there, and as well, I think bumping up supports for sort of self-service options, self-checkouts. And they have a pretty robust system for requesting materials from other campuses. So they're taking ownership of the collection within their own spaces is their plan.
And then just two other quick questions, and I'm not sure whether it's you or potentially Joelle. What is the current balance of your trust fund?
Through the chair, it's roughly 377,000. So with those two expenditures, that would take it down to approximately 200,000.
Okay, and then the same with the library.
Sorry,
reserve.
down to 100,000. Sorry.
Yeah, I was doing the math. That's okay. And the library reserve? the current balance?
Through the chair, there's multiple library reserve funds. From a perspective of capital reserves, we're forecasting an end of year balance of approximately 229,000 at the end of this year. On the operating side, we have various reserves for different purposes, and we're forecasting a balance at the end of this year of $215,000.
So combined, just around $450,000 in your reserve fund.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Council Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I raised my hand earlier, I wasn't waving at you. I was wanting to get in the queue. But Councillor Hunt has asked the question that I had, so thank you.
You're more than welcome. Councillor Carpenter.
You're going to do a study in your program for planning study for long-range planning. So will that review whether you're going to need another branch library north of Powerland Road, which is going to be the size of Shelters Lane when it's finished?
Through the chair, the facility master plan is more about current building conditions and sort of how and projections around those. However, a component of that study we did in 2021 do a library planning study, which did speak to the need for a new branch in north of the city as well, and that study will be considered as part of the overall facility master plan as well.
So I'm going to ask you an are you aware question in order to get a question in there, but are you aware that your new branch that you're building now in Shelters Lane is the same distance from the main library would be to the tourism center? Thank
you. We weren't aware of that. Thank you, sir.
Councillor McCurry.
Chair, thank you very much. Thanks for the presentation. You seem pretty excited at the prospect of undertaking this huge construction project. You may come to regret that later on once you're in the middle of it. I recall quite clearly the discussion when we agreed to take on the university's library services. And one of us, I can't recall who it may have been at the time, posed the question about disentanglement in the event that the university undertook to provide its own library services. Does your budget before us today reflect any reductions in staffing as a result of the disentanglement from the library services provided to Laurier?
Through the chair, it does not. The fee structure for the Laurier agreement, I can't speak to how it was 20 years ago when it first started out. But in my 10 years that I've been here, the fee structure is sort of multi-layered. So we receive a portion based on FTE of students. We receive a portion based on system and training costs for staff. But essentially, maybe the simple answer that will address your question is that there's no one direct line to a staff person who on our team does Laurier work. It's shared across many incumbents in many different positions to work out to essentially a small amount of work borne by a large number of people. So there's no staffing reductions that would equate to that loss.
So the only reduction is to the revenue.
Correct.
Well, that seems to be it. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
now move on to 4.2.5, Brantford Police Service. We'll now ask Police Chief Saunders, Deputy Chief Paolini, and Board Chair Alan Lovett to please come forward to speak to the budget confirmation. Please note you have 10 minutes to present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I pass it over to the chief, I'd also like to recognize Deputy Davies, who's here, Inspector Bell Sampson, and Robin Matthews of Communication, who all have put a lot of work into to this budget. And with that, I'll pass it over to Chief Saunders.
Thank you. I also wanted to take an opportunity to recognize city staff, Anna Hiatel, Anita Porteous, Lucas Cracknell, and Terry Bohar, who have all been instrumental in providing us assistance as we go through the financial process. So I'd like to note that the budget we're presenting to you today is not an approved budget by the Police Service Board as of yet. It's a draft budget. Our anticipation is that we'll be going back to the board in the coming days where we'll be presenting a finalized budget. So these numbers may change. I don't anticipate they're going to change significantly, but there are factors that we're not able to include in the budget at this point. So the proposed 2026 budget has been developed through extensive consultation, careful analysis of community needs, and a focus on fiscal responsibility. Our priorities for this upcoming year include enhancing frontline policing services to improve proactive initiatives and visibility in our neighborhoods with a focus on the downtown core. Investing in modern technology and equipment to support the efficient operations of evidence-based policing through the creation of our real-time operations center. Expanding community outreach and crime prevention programs with a particular focus on youth engagement and vulnerable populations. Increasing traffic enforcement initiatives with a focus on road safety. Supporting mental health and wellness of our members, and ensuring financial accountability and transparency. I could speak for a very long time about the work that's done by our over 200 officers and 130 civilian members, but since I only have 10 minutes, I'll save that for another day. I'd like to start by showing our current year of 2025. We had an approved budget of $54 million. And our current financial position is that we are anticipating an estimated surplus of approximately $466,000. I would caution that I do anticipate that number will decline as the year end gets a little bit closer. But as of today, we are looking towards a surplus position. The slide that you have before you, I just want to point out, this was what was originally presented to City Council in 2023 when the first round of multi-year budgeting went forward. And these were the budgets that were presented for 24, 25, 26, and 27. So if you look at the budgets in total, from looking at 2025 and 2026, we're actually coming in with a budget that's approximately $3.5 million lower than what was initially projected in 2023. You'll notice that if you're looking at the budget package in 2024, when we were before you to present this year's budget, we lowered our overall estimates for future years. That's why you'll see there's a bit of a discrepancy in the numbers themselves. So looking at our 2026 budget projections, we're anticipating a base budget of just over $58 million, so $58.5 million. And then with additional strategic investments, we would be $59.2 million. That's a base budget increase of 7.61 and a total budget increase of 8.85. So the next slide shows you just how our budget for 2026 is broken out into our revenue, our expenses, and strategic investments for a total of, like I said, just over $59.2 million. Next, I'll speak briefly in regards to our capital budget. So our capital budget for 2025 was approximately $2.5 million this year. We've had a reduced capital plan of just under $2 million. In the budget package that you have, it will show a higher number. Since we provided our budget to city staff, we've actually reduced it by another $100,000 to be just under $2 million. It is a fully funded capital plan through both police reserves. And next, I'll just briefly speak about our Chiefs Advisory Committee. So earlier this year, we created a Chiefs Advisory Committee that's made up of 8 people from various walks of life within our community. They're all private citizens, but they come and they meet with us roughly quarterly, and we ask them for feedback on various things that we're working on within the service to provide feedback as to what the general population would think of some of the things that we're looking to do. And so in September of this year, we presented our budget or our draft budget to the Chiefs Advisory Committee. And they asked us that if they had control over the budget, the things that they would want us to focus on would be additional high school resource officers, supports and retention for our current officers, both for their mental and physical well-being, increased community involvement and visibility, and an increase in public communication with a focus on proactive strategy to prevent crime. So additional budget investments, again, as this budget is very fluid, there are changes to our unmet needs or our additional investments that are not within your package. There's a full report that's going to our Police Service Board very soon that will outline how we feel we can increase and meet all those requirements that we've laid out in our budget and the recommendations put forward by the Chiefs Advisory Committee. We don't anticipate any significant changes to our budget by adding these new measures that the board will see in the coming days. So what drives our budget? Very similar to pretty much every board that has probably presented to you, but obviously the inflation and consumer price index has an impact on us, and the increased cost for emerging technologies. You know that as of this year, we are now Next Generation 911 compliant, which is mandated for every emergency service across North America. All of our officers are now wearing, all of our frontline officers are now wearing body cameras, an increase in technologies that does have a significant financial cost. But the one difference between us and the other boards is the Community Safety and Policing Act that we are bound by. It replaced the Police Services Act in 2024. And there are significant investments in our budget, and you'll notice this under the operating budget summary, that we were required to add to our budget to make sure that we're compliant with the Act. So as I near the end of my presentation, and just before we welcome questions, I just wanted to highlight that out of the $4.8 million increase that we're asking for our 2026 budget, just over $4 million of that is employee compensation and contractual obligations. Another point that I just wanted to make is in keeping us comparable with other police services, some police services present their budget after assessed growth and some present it before assessed growth. So I want to provide both of those numbers for you today. So like I mentioned before, our budget is an increase of 8.85% total. After the police proportionate share of assessed growth, it is a 7.14% increase. I can tell you that in 2026, when you look at comparator police services, we are very comparable to almost every service of our size that's out there. Many of them are coming in at much higher budgets than us. And there are certain things that we can't predict for our budget yet, but I can tell you we're working very closely with the Solicitor General's office. As recently as Friday, I had a conversation with their staff in regards for new and enhanced funding opportunities for 2026 that could have positive impacts on our budget, but at this point, we're not able to include any of that in this presentation. That concludes our presentation, and I'm happy at this point to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Councilor Martin.
Yes, thank you. I noticed in your capital budget, you have uniform replacements. That sounds like something that should be an annual operating expense.
So yes, through the chair. It's historically been in our capital plan. This year we're changing, or in 2026, we're actually changing the uniform that police officers wear. You'll note the uniform that you see our officers wearing has been around for a lot longer than all of us. We're switching to a comfortable sweat wicking type material that is much more user friendly for our officers to make them a little bit more comfortable when they're out there on the road.
Okay, so this is capital because it's initial.
Correct.
Department-wide refresh of the uniform.
Correct.
Will it be part of the operating in future years then, and it'll disappear from the capital?
Through the chair, I'm not sure. I believe we've always put that in capital, but sorry, I'm corrected. Yes, it will be operating.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Carpenter.
Thank you. Welcome, Chief, Deputy, Chair. Just one, will this budget mean more boots on the street?
The plan that we're going to present, and I can't give you a definitive answer on that, other than that the plan that we're going to present to our board in the coming days would show enhancements in those areas that I'd mentioned.
So feet on the street. Oh, thank you.
Not seeing any other speakers, we can actually call the vote on this one.
The police services budget passes on a vote of 9-0. Those in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Sless, McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samwell, Martin, and Sicoli.
Now dealing with the John Noble homes. Any further discussion or we call the vote? Call the vote.
The John Noble Home budget carries unanimously on a vote of 10-0. All those in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillors Sullivan, McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Sicoli, Caputo, Martin, Hunt, and Samwell.
Now for the balance of 4.2 as amended.
Item 4.2 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. All those in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillors Sullivan, Sless, McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Sicoli, Caputo, Martin, Hunt, and Samwell.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
Yeah, what? Is there an opportunity this evening for amendments?